welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst car since 2010, so you don't have to, in the desperate hunt for points, and it's the final round of the 2015 season, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at Yas Marina. And we arrive here with the championships over and done with. Nico Rosberg, mathematically unable to be caught by his teammate, he claims the title in 2015, and Mercedes have claimed the Constructors. We, on the other hand, have a little bit of pride to fight for. As you can see, 9th place, 80 points. It's been a pretty good season, with some pretty big results. 80 points is what we scored back in 2010. That has so far been our series peak. This race today, the last one of the season, is our last chance to make this McLaren MP430 the best of the worst so far. That first season was pretty spectacular, and the other seasons have been pretty mediocre, if not pretty dire. This one has really given us an opportunity, and it's probably going to be the last time that we can really fight 4 points, I think, for a little bit. I can't imagine that Manor next season is going to be fighting. But we arrive here after a points run extension, managing to nick just a couple of points in Brazil after it looked like it was just running away from us. We've scored points in every round since Singapore now. So we're on a bit of a run, and I'd love to end the season just how we started it, with points. And obviously this was the venue last season where we scored our only points. But as I mentioned, Nico Rosberg is the champion, Lewis Hamilton second, he's secure there. Sebastian Vettel is third, could still be overtaken by his teammate Kimi Raikkonen. Bottas is fifth, should be comfortably ensconced there. And it's Massa, Ricciardo, Kvyat we can still catch with a big result. Perez is 10th, he can't catch us. Fernando Alonso is 11th. Just ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, and then it's Pastor Maldonado, Carlos Sainz, Romain Grosjean, Verstappen, Nasser, and Ericsson, Stevenson, Mary with 8 points, and I very much doubt that those Bauer Rushes are picking them up this season, but we'll see, who knows, stranger things have happened. Whereas in the Constructors, as I say, Mercedes claimed the title last time out in Brazil. I probably claimed it the round before, but it was absolutely 100% definite after Interlagos. Ferrari will take second, unless Williams really outscore them. It'd have to be a big outscore. I think they'd have to win and Ferrari score nothing, and I even think then they might not catch. Red Bull, comfortably on their own in fourth, will be comfortably fifth. And of Force India will be comfortably sixth. Lotus, Toro Rosso is the only real battle out there, because I can't imagine Sauber are going to score enough to jump both of those teams. And Man Russia, 0 points at the back. Abu Dhabi then, the last round of the season. This has been one of those circuits we've done weirdly well. As I mentioned, scored points here last season, the only points of our entire campaign. It was double points, so we managed to come out with 4 points, but we won here back in 2010. One of 3 podiums that season. We've got 2 this season, 2 in 2012 and none in 2011 and 2011, 13 or 14. But we could equal our podium run if we have a really good event here. Tough though, because as we've seen, we might be able to qualify well, with the exception of Mexico. Can't really stay with the leaders. And there's a little bit of power that's needed for this place as well, so it might be a bit tricky, but it is the old layout of Abu Dhabi, so those double and triple chicanes might actually do us some favours. But let's go see how we stack up against the rest of the field. We're going to head to practice. While we do, we'll talk about the real world 2015 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The season finale was held at Abu Dhabi, and with both titles wrapped up earlier in the season, it was a chance for the teams and drivers to somewhat let their hair down. Lotus, however, missed scrutineering on the Thursday, though the team were close to being sold back to Renault, being formalised in the December of 2012. Even with Lotus missing Thursday scrutineering, they were able to take to the Yas Marina track for the open practice session, with Red Bull, Ferrari and McLaren all running additional or new parts with an eye on 2016. Hamilton would top the times ahead of Rosberg and Raikkonen. It'd be a similar story in the second practice session, with Mercedes leading the way, but it wouldn't be one of the usual suspects behind him, as Perez set the third fastest time, but the Mexican would have to head back into the garage when his left rear brake began to catch on fire. Mercedes were once again fastest in the final session, though. Hamilton would explore the runoff on more than one occasion, spinning at turn 6 early on before running wide there later. Rosberg would therefore lead the way ahead of Hamilton and Vettel.
change your setup. That's what practice is for. We want to be quick, but we also want to be comfortable and consistent. Let's find that balance.
Qualifying began with a shock as Sebastian Vettel failed to make the cut, backing off on his second flying lap before watching Jenson Button beat his time to squeeze his McLaren into Q2. He'd not be joined by the other McLaren after Alonso picked up a puncture, eliminating him along with the aforementioned Vettel, Ericsson, Mary and Stevens. Button wouldn't make it any further, but was marginally away from getting through Q3 ahead of Maldonado, Nasser and Grosjean, the Frenchman being told to pit without changing gears during his first run and coasting to a halt on his second. Verstappen was in P11, so was also eliminated. Hamilton had been leading the way through the opening qualifying sessions, but was unable to replicate his pace in the final part, handing Rosberg an advantage he wouldn't waste. Hamilton attempted to usurp the other Mercedes on his second run, but would have all four wheels off track, his lap time being deleted. That wouldn't affect his second spot, as he lined up behind Rosberg, got ahead of Raikkonen, Perez, Ricciardo, Bottas, Hülkenberg, Massa, Kvyat and Sainz. Months prior, Rosberg had got a sluggish start, which ultimately gifted the championship to Hamilton. This time around, though, Hamilton got the sluggish getaway and had to fend off Raikkonen behind. The champion managed to hold the Finn off, though it was powerless to stop Rosberg pulling away.
So the car can still be a bit unsettled as you come into the braking zone. You don't want to snatch a brake and run wide if you can help it.
Super soft tyres being run by the pack would only last a short stint, so there was a flurry of activity before the 10th tour of the circuit. Bottas was one of those in after being outfoxed by his rivals at the start, but his stop on lap 8 would ruin his race. He was released into the path of Jenson Button, collecting the McLaren and losing the front wing. Not only did the Williams have to replace the missing part, but he would cop a 5-second penalty as well. Further back, Alonso was not having a good evening at the Asmarina circuit, having squeezed Nasser at the start, bouncing off the Sabre and into Maldonado's Lotus, ending the Venezuelan's final race on the spot. To add insult to injury, he'd be given a drive-through for the incident, protesting on the radio that without the safety car he would retire. He would continue, but find himself being lapped by his old team. There were some brief moments of action in the midfield as a number of drivers made their way through the field from poor grid slots, but it'd be a fairly standard Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, with Rosberg ending the year on a high, taking a comfortable victory ahead of Hamilton. Raikkonen would take third, while Vettel would recover to fourth from his lowly grid spot. The top 10 for the final race was completed by Perez, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Massa, Grosjean and Daniel Kvyat. It's time for one more push in 2015 and we're aiming to end with points, enough to clear our previous series best. That really means we need to get ourselves a good starting spot to give ourselves the best chance of grabbing those points. Top 10 shootout should be possible here, so we're going to aim for 7th spot to cap the season off with another strong qualifying session.
We've only got about 5 kilos of fuel remaining now. That's 5 kilos of fuel.
Welcome back to Abu Dhabi for this evening's qualifying session. It's nearly 5 o'clock, the cars will soon be starting their engines and the drivers will make their way out onto the track. Even though the championship has already been decided, there's still a race to win here this weekend and some championship points available for teams and for drivers to collect. So I don't think anyone will be taking this weekend for granted.
Definitely not. It's all about the results for the drivers. They'll still be putting maximum effort into today's qualifying session. Outside of the top teams, there's also a lot to play for further down the grid.
We don't need to push too hard in this session. We should have the pace to qualify easily.
Thank you, and Crofty, as we sit in the garage for the final qualifying session of 2015. Practice was about standard at this point. Out early, running the harder tyre, low down the order. think there's still a little bit of pace in this car though, and I think we might be able to really battle. Q1 should hopefully be a formality. It's going to be Q2 where we might struggle, so let's get out, try and make it through, and then see where we stack up. To our fastest lap in Q1 then. Wide out the final corner to start, but keeping the power down quite nicely. Into turn 1, early on the brakes, clip the apex just right, run a touch wide, but we can get away with it as we run in through 2 and 3. The angle through 2, just understeery, which compromises us a bit through 3. We have to lift off the loud pedal, but it's not too bad as we're 2 1/4 tenths up, 2.5 tenths up should I say, at the end of the first sector as we get through that fiddly little chicane before the hairpin. Nice and tidy through all of that, which is something that is a difficult thing to do at times in that particular section of track, but we're onto the back straight, just heading down, waiting for that braking point. And we get there just a little earlier than I would have expected, but it gives us the opportunity to get the nose in through the first part and then over the curb through the second part of that chicane. Another DRS straight, although it's not really straight as we curve slightly to the left, heading up to what is now a hairpin, but back in 2015 is still that triple chicane the track was designed with. Still, nearly 4 tenths of a second up, a little wide through the first part, which compromises our second part. We get a warning for corner cutting and run wide. It doesn't invalidate the lap. We're still all over the place coming out of that little section, and if it's not invalidated, we keep going as we swing around this long right hander and get on brakes just by the hotel, locking up a little bit, running wide, and then into this tricky final sector of the lap, through past the hotel, or under the hotel should I say, to the left, and then there's 2 more corners before this lap is over. We clip the apex really nicely, stay well away from the outside of the curb in there, take a fair chunk of the apex through the final corner, cross the line, and it's an improvement.
Sectors 1 and 3 are good, but you're dropping a little time in sector 2.
Wow! The big news in that session is that Valtteri Bottas was unable to get a perfect lap together and is out of qualifying. That's a big blow for Williams.
Q1 done and dusted then, and much like the last few rounds, really quick, right up there in 5th, Valtteri Bottas knocked out by Fernando Alonso. Well done, Nando. Bottas, Maldonado, Sainz, Stevens and Merry are out. We are just a few tenths of a second away from Lewis Hamilton, but as has been the case so far this season, the top few teams running the primes in the first session, so their pace is likely to ramp up. Q2 might be a bit more of a scrap. In the garage zone for Q2, both McLarens in Q2. No Valtteri Bottas though, so it does mean that there is a little bit of a gap available up in the top 10 near the front, if we can take advantage of it. As I said, as has been the case the last few rounds, the top team's going out on the primes in the first session, which means that their pace will ramp up in the second, so we've really got to be on our form. Let's get out there, see if we can mix it with the big boys. Fastest lap in the second part of qualifying then as the sun is coming down, and much like the first qualifying session, it's the second lap that we improve upon. We get through turn 1, clipping the apex really nicely again, a little wide but nothing too dangerous. Much better though through turn 2 than we were in Q1. Still have to lift off through 3 because of the ridiculously bouncy curves on the outside, but we're only marginally up. It was a good first sector on the first run. Get really nicely through that chicane, actually keeping the car really stable and solid as we get into the hairpin and down to this back straight. Once again, it is just a case of waiting as the sun goes down, but as you can see, times are coming in. We're in amongst the kind of guys that we'd want to be beating to make it into Q3, so we've really got to make some form of improvement. On the brakes, just a little late, run a little deep into the first part of the chicane, but we managed to swing the car around and get it back out without too many problems. Onto the second DRS straight up towards that triple chicane up at the top. Slipping further down the order as we go. We're pushing as hard as we can. Marginally down next to that late move into the chicane at the last straight, but we can fling through the triple apex there without too many problems, and we're not quite as leery through the outward part of that section. Through this long right hander towards the hotel on the brakes, this time not locking up, able to get turned in nice and early, clip the apex 1, clip the apex 2, run wide enough to then throw the car through and get right into the barrier there. Don't want to be hit with that in the race. as we go into the final couple of corners. Nicely through the penultimate corner, that we get caught on the curb a little bit, which compromises our line into the final corner. It's a long way wide, but it's still an improvement. Should see us through.
You're losing time in sector 2.
I think Fernando Alonso won't be pleased with his qualifying result today. He's outside the top 10 and with a lot to do tomorrow if he's going to salvage something from the weekend.
Into Q3 then, fairly comfortably as well, P6. Ahead of Ricciardo, Perez, Hülkenberg, Kvyat, Verstappen, Grosjean, Nasser, Alonso and Ericsson knocked out. Alonso at least not 15th. But as you can see, the pace did ramp up. We're now at 1.3 seconds behind Nico Rosberg. But we can mix in the middle of this top 10. And with Bottas out the way as well, we might be able to snag ourselves a really good starting spot for the final race of the season. Let's see how it goes. In the garage then, for the final part of qualifying for the final round of the season. Listen, we've really got to push hard here, I think, but I do believe that we can get up amongst the top 5 or 6 cars. Give ourselves a really good opportunity for points here in Abu Dhabi. AI are going to give it everything and be pretty quick, so let's get out there and see how we compare before crunch time. In the final part of qualifying, the dusk has truly settled, and it's taken a bit longer to really get a good lap on the board this time. 7th as it stands, but I feel like we can go a little bit faster. We bounce off the curb through the first corner and bounces us out wide, but we've got a good line through the second corner. Again, having to lift off through turn 3 just to avoid those outside curbs, but not too bad. A little bit down in the first sector, but we're able to just throw it over the apexes in the chicane there to keep the pace up into the hairpin at the top end of the circuit. Nice, clean, tidy, no dramas there. It's onto the back straight. The lap has felt a little bit chaotic so far in that opening part. Really just pushing hard. I feel like we can maybe make a place or 2 more on the grid with a good run. Get on the brakes just at the right time this time into the chicane, and we take a lot of apex curb on entry and through the exit. But the car dances through there, not too bad whatsoever. On the DRS as soon as the line allows. And we're heading up towards that triple apex chicane at the top end of the circuit once again. This is where we're really strong. We're up, but we get the line a little bit wrong. We have to really compromise our run, but we managed to sort of straight line the second part of that, and we're safely through the exit of that little complex at the top of the circuit. Through them, this long right-hander on the brakes at just the right time. Don't lock up like we did in Q1 and kiss the apex perfectly there. Take a fair amount of curve through that left-hander and do the same on the next one, which means we can get on the power nice and early to pass under the hotel. Lots of curb to the right there, be a little bit too much, but keeps us within track limits and keeps the speed up, and we've got a really nice final corner for the first time this session, and it is a minor improvement.
Fantastic qualifying result from Nico Rosberg, and a performance which should see him targeting now a race win tomorrow.
Well, I think he's going to be difficult to beat from pole, and if he can hold off any challenges in the first few laps, he'll create a gap and be off into the distance.
And we end qualifying in P6, just a 10th away from Daniel Ricciardo. P6 held in part by Bottas dropping out in Q1 and Hamilton in 10th, primarily because he came to a dead stop on a flying lap right in front of me. And I essentially was into the braking zone of the chicane down the back straight, and I just got in the back of him. He just wasn't. Not entirely sure why he slammed on the anchors quite so hard, but it's Rosberg on pole. Champion leading the way ahead of Raikkonen, Vettel, Massa, Ricciardo. There we are. We're ahead of Kvyat, Hülkenberg, Perez, and Hamilton, but it does mean that we're going to have some much, much faster traffic behind us. For the last time this season, though, let's cross to the race. See how we get on.
Welcome to Yas Marina Circuit for this day into night race. The teams are done putting the finishing touches to the cars. It's time now for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He looked strong all weekend, and when it mattered most, he was on top of his game, and more importantly, on top of the timesheets. Nico Rosberg has the advantage of P1 and a great chance now of victory.
He's definitely going to be difficult to beat today, but anything can happen, so we'll have to keep a close eye on how this unfolds over the course of the race.
Daniel Kvyat will hope that the DRS problems that he suffered earlier in the weekend are now behind him. Otherwise, it could be a very long Grand Prix for him today.
There was a scary point when it came open just before turn 6 and Daniel was lucky to catch the car, or he could have been a passenger heading towards the barriers. The team have said they've since resolved the issue, so hopefully he'll be fine today.
On the grid then for the last time in the MP430 here at Abu Dhabi, P6 on the grid. Not a bad starting spot whatsoever, and as we know, 1 point is realistically all we need to beat our series best of that 80 points that we picked up way back in 2010. It's been a long slog to get this close, and if I'm honest, objectively, I don't feel it's necessary to go hunting for more. I think if we aim for P10 and just take that solitary point, that's all we really need. We could end the season on a real high with a really, really strong result. But Hamilton in 10th, Bottas a bit further down the field. There are some quick cars behind us who I don't think will take too long to get through the field. So we are likely to be on the back foot for periods of this race. But that's not stopped us before. Look at where we got to in some of the other rounds this season where we've seemingly been on the back foot. And we've come out on top and come out with points in the end. So, for the last time in 2015, let's get the 5 red lights on and off again for the 2015 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Okay, we're looking for a top 3 finish today.
Once a podium as the 5th red light is out, and away we go at Yas Marina. We're in the middle. It's going to be a bit awkward into turn 1. We avoid any contact with Hulkenberg or Kvyat. Carlo's lost out. I think there's a matter as we run wide, bounce off that curve. That's cost us points before. We'll send it on Danny Rick. We'll get past the Red Bull. Mercedes, Ferrari, Williams. There we are, P5, although we're going to be under pressure. No DRS this early on, but this is just how slow we are. Look at the Mercedes-powered Force India breezing past the both of us. We will, however, spook him out of a move and then take 5th back. Solid work there. They're going side to side behind me. We'll just try and hold our position for now. So 3 is where we've been good so far this weekend. We can take advantage of that as we pull away from the fighting pack behind us. Dropped a little by the top 4 though. Through the penultimate corner, through the final corner, and end the first lap. 1 place up on where we started, and a little bit ahead of Hulk. Good solid opening lap here.
Okay, there's enough fuel in the tank to get us through the whole race. Remember that we'll get lighter and faster as we get through it. Raikkonen is now the race leader.
Managed to hold Ricardo Hulkenberg off for few laps. We're up to 3rd. I think we've had a couple of guys in the pits. Managed to be, as I say, managed to hold this train of cars at arm's length for most of this opening stint, but we're getting close. We're on our pit lap. And there goes Hamilton off the road. Ricardo's through as well. Tyres just going off, but we are late on the brakes with the Red Bull. Get back round him again. I'd like to be able to go into the pits in front of these guys, but I feel it's going to be quite difficult as we hold off Ricardo but not Hamilton. Send again. And we're back through, back into 3rd. They fight through the triple chicane. Hulkenberg might have gone in. Rosberg and Vettel went in if Raikkonen leading. All over the curb there, but not too bad. We'll head into the pits now. Struggling on these tyres. Really have to slam the brakes on it just about to get it round the corner. That might cost us a little bit. We get held. Hamilton goes through. If Ricardo went down, probably. No, Ricardo behind us. Hamilton managed to jump all of us. He's going to go chasing after the leaders now. But we are asked to be saved Lewis Hamilton today, I feel. Although I thought that in Mexico. He's going to get stuck behind Grohl and Stevens pretty much instantaneously. Grohl and Hamilton side to side into the chicane.
Tyre temperatures look optimal. Good job.
Try and go past Will Stevens, who has DRS. He's defending. He's on the prime, so he's running longer. Hamilton and Grosjean continue to be at each other's throats. We have to dive across the curbs a little bit much there as we are attempting to keep it on the road, but we're past Grosjean. Vital for our strategy, I feel. A little clash of cars into 8th places again. Getting our braking zone wrong. Hulkenberg has managed to jump both me and Hamilton. Force into that. Lost another spot to somebody as well. Not sure who.
Hamilton just ahead. Let's try and get past him.
Well, whoever had jumped us in the pits, so we retake 7th. Hamilton right up behind Hulkenberg, struggling to get past him at the moment. We'll be able to try and use this to our advantage. Hamilton passed Hulk in the first DRS zone. We're not close enough to capitalise, so P7 after the pit stops, not too bad. It was beginning to spread out a little bit as well, so putting ourselves in a good position for points anyway. Quicker than Hulkenberg in this phase of the race. We'll send it. That's exactly what we needed. We're through on Hulk.
That's P6.
We're going to be able to keep him there, I'm not entirely sure. Hulkenberg peeled in at the end of the last lap. Kvyat now behind us. That Renault engine not as powerful as the Mercedes powered cars, so that was demonstrated by Hulk and Ricciardo early on. After the pit stop, the field has spread out a little bit, which might be our saving grace. Yeah, though, he's going to squeeze at the inside. He basically nudges us out the way. We've done that to plenty of people this season. Hold it to the outside, be on the inside for the next one. Rattle our way through that triple chicane. Hold on to P6 for now. The lead cars, Vettel and Rosberg exit in the pits beneath us as we go through turn 1. Tyres are a little warm, so it's a bit of a struggle through there. Vettel now right with us. He's not our fight.
We've just dipped under the 30 kilo mark in terms of fuel. We have 30 kilos of fuel remaining.
Yeah, on the other hand, is so. I don't know. I don't know whether it's a case of trying to defend from Kvyat while Vettel goes. But they'll both go. We're 3 wide. Break early and get back past Kvyat. Vettel is through, but again, that's not our problem. He's down to 19. Vettel has some problems.
Don't forget, pit in this lap.
I think whoever has retired is not in any great shakes to us, but we'll take a look in a minute. But yeah, staying there, we break for the pits. As I think it's Valtteri Bottas that's out of this race. Ricciardo down in 19th as well, so he must have had an incident.
Exit now.
Get new set of tyres. Sainz is through, Verstappen's through, Hulkenberg is ending the pit straight.
Okay, you only have to stop once now. One stop left.
Pit exit all wrong. Damage at least, but Hulkenberg is through.
We're now at around 60% of our initial fuel load. That's 60% of fuel remaining.
Managed to close in on him in the first stint though, so could still be on for us. In pits, so we will jump back into P9.
Let's keep them that way for as long as we can.
Wide Kvyat also in the pits, we'll get back past the Russian. Back into P8. Very much as a check to see where Kvyat is, all about whether we can catch Hulk. So it's ahead, it's for a net P6. In the straight, I seem to have had a little bit of an advantage on Force India. Sainz is in, so we're back into P7. Closing on Hulkenberg. We're going to have to catch and pass him, I don't know, but we're going to keep pushing. Actual P6 on the cards here. Hulkenberg heading for the pits. Valtteri Bottas still ain't there, so it must have been Daniel Ricciardo that retired.
One of the Force India cars is about to stop by the looks of it. Their pit crew are getting ready.
Chop across the nose of Valtteri Bottas to make sure we don't get caught out through turn 1.
Vettel's leading the race.
Hulkenberg. I don't know whether he's going to last. His tyres are pitting now. Whether he's going to make an extra stop remains to be seen. Now right with us, and we checked race director though. Hulkenberg went back to the options, so he's going to pit again. So I feel like the battle for sixth is between me and the Red Bull. Hoping we can hold it off. Seventh would still be solid result. Oh, he nudges me. Managed to stay in front. On back with a Red Bull in the points. Wouldn't be the first time this season. Going to turn 1. The up and under that blocks us off. There are a little worse full wear, as you can see. Very wide. Out of 2. Do we just go in this lap and get the stop out the way? Frames should last to the end from here. But it's not really going to make a huge amount of difference. Kvyat gone, I think. Don't think we're going to catch him.
Okay, here's the fuel situation at the moment. We have 20 kilos remaining. That's 20 kilos.
We're going to head for the pits a lap earlier than scheduled.
Is now the race leader.
Tyres feel horrific. Verstappen should go by. Sainz as well, potentially. Hulkenberg's behind Sainz, but Hulk, as we've established, is going to need to pit again. We won't jump Kvyat, I don't think, but we should jump these three. We get a warning for crossing the pit line. We're expecting that we get a penalty then. We've ruined our race. Lucky there though. Stewards leading the final race of the season. Verstappen in, back up to P9. We're actually closing, I can't get the words out, on Hulkenberg and Sainz before their pits, running wide through turn 1 there.
The brakes are too cold.
Might be able to beat them on the road.
Going to the next couple of corners.
I'm waiting for them to pit in. Straight line grunt that we're lacking. Not doing us any favours as we get the DRS, but again, right up behind Hulkenberg and Sainz, who are going to need to pit. Let's do anything rash here. Traction on Hulkenberg, look at that, up the inside and through.
That's P8. You're now in P8.
A more common occurrence in that corner in the future when the track is altered, but we get that job done early. Carlos Sainz should, we feel, be heading for his pit box just now. Maybe already in. Sainz, we were very wide at the final corner. That Kvyat. I think it might be. It is. We're past him. Good couple of 8 laps. Has worked wonders for us. We're back into P6. Whether we can stay there to the end, check and see where he is behind us. We have 2 seconds. Arm's length to the end. It'll be a really cracking result. Just a few laps to go. Kvyat hunting us down. We're able to just get away from him far enough in the end of the middle sector into the final sector to be able to run away a little bit. Keep him just out of arm's length as we close up on the back of Roberto Merri. I think we were in DRS range of the Spaniard. Oh, we were. Use that as a little bit of defence as Kvyat continues to be held at arm's length. Merri will go to the inside in the braking zone, which run deep. Kvyat, right, is stuck behind them for long. Really don't know if we're going to be able to keep Kvyat behind us. Might give up a position too easily, but much like Japan, it might be in our better interests to just let him go, avoid any potential incident. Secure the points as he goes by.
You've dropped into P7. That's P7.
Close enough though to get DRS off of him here. Renault engine not much more powerful than our Honda. We spook him out the way. all over the curves. Back in a P6. Again, here comes Kvyat. He should have the beating of us down here. And there's the Red Bull. Pulling away too far. So again, we'll just sort of send it, spook him into the corner. Take the position once again. This is going to be the last lap and a half, just us two dueling as it goes back by. Again, not far enough in front really to do anything other than cede the position into the chicanes. And to our final lap of the 2015 season. What has been a fairly successful campaign. Points in most races. A couple of podiums, even a pole position or two. Final race of the season with battling for points once again. With a car that should, by rights, be much further up the road than it is. Had a pretty good battle with Kvyat through this race. Hulkenberg for a little bit as well. Not quite over yet. Kvyat will go by. Again, staying his wheel tracks, staying in slipstream. Brakes a little earlier this time, but again, spook him out of the way just by being on the inside. One more go at this. Stay to the inside now. Not far enough in front, really, to complete the pass. And back through on Kvyat, back into P6 as the champion. Nico Rosberg takes another victory. Really cap off his season. Another first time winner in this series. First time champion, should I say, in this series. Constructors title for Mercedes as well, but we're going to come around the final corners. Started 6th, will finish 6th in Abu Dhabi as I run wide, just to give Kvyat a little sniff, but across the line, P6.
No one could compete with the Mercedes today as they take home another race win.
What a weekend it's been, and one that's been thoroughly enjoyable.
That's it for today's Grand Prix, and from Ant and I, it's goodbye, and see you again next time.
And that's how the final race of 2015 ends. Nico Rosberg takes the win and the championship ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Kimi Räikkönen slips to 3rd in the end. Lewis recovers to 4th. After that incident with us in qualifying, Massa is 5th. We are some distance behind him. It looks like they had a pretty ding-dong battle up the front. We're 6th, just ahead of Daniel Kvyat. Hulkenberg is 8th, then it's Verstappen and Sainz scoring points for Toro Rosso. Right at the end of the season, Perez is in 11th, ahead of Maldonado, Grosjean, Alonso, Ericsson, Nasser, Stevens, Mary, Bottas 2 laps down in 19th, and Daniel Ricciardo last and out. What does that do to the stand-ins? Well, we knew that Nico Rosberg was the champion already. He wins that championship by 65 points from Lewis Hamilton. Vettel retains 3rd ahead of Kimi Räikkönen, then it's Bottas, Massa, Ricciardo, Kvyat. We end the season on 88 points. Our best in Blue Flag Bandits. Good way to end the season. 88 under our belt. Sergio Perez is 10th. Hulkenberg pips Alonso right at the death with his points finish. Maldonado is 13th ahead of Sainz. Romain Grosjean, Max Verstappen, Felipe Nasr, Marcus Ericsson, and it's Will Stevens and Roberto Merry with nothing at the bottom. That's the team I'm heading to, so it's got a bit of a big job on our hands. Constructors-wise, though, Mercedes champions with a 153-point gap to Ferrari. Williams are in 3rd. Red Bull finish 4th. We finish 5th, 115 points on the board. Force India are 6th, comfortably ahead of Lotus, who are just a point ahead of Toro Rosso. One more position for one of Sainz or Verstappen possibly would have put them ahead of Lotus. Sauber are 9th, and Mana Marussia are 10th, and that is our 6th completed season, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014 and 2015 down. 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 2015 one more season with a team that no longer exists before we get into our run of Alfa Sauber, Williams and Haas. Haas join the grid next year as well, so we're going to be up to 22 cars for just 1 year until 2026. But what a way to end. Points again on the board, another points finish for Jenson Button. We return to being ourselves next season, which is going to be fun. But this one season jaunt with McLaren and Jenson has been fruitful, to say the least. What a way to end as well. Not a chaotic or hectic battle as we've had sometimes this season, but a nice duel with Daniel Kvyat at the end, really just to cap the season off. I'll be sad to let go of the McLaren MP430, not so much F1 2015 as a game, but it's another season down in Blue Flag Bandits. Next, you'll see our pre-season event in the Manor before heading into the 2016 season proper. Hopefully you'll continue to join us as we continue moving through the years. 2015, it's been fun. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff, you know the drill. Bye now. I'll see you in 2016. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.